Hey, 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 we are back with another episode of the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector,
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And we got a lot to talk about. Big day today. If you missed it on the last episode, we went through Popper Drops for the NFL season. Today we have a special segment. We've done this in the past. Gary and I each have a $1,000 budget to buy players that we really believe in. So we're going to give you our take, how we made up our offense, a rationale behind that, and we even tease the idea of next year maybe just actually buying them.
And seeing put our money where our mouth is.
That's right. So we got that coming up. We're going to talk product releases today. There's been a lot that's dropped. It's been a little bit of a drought, and then boom, the heavens have opened, and there's a lot of products.
Yeah, we're right here, and it's going to be pretty much a nonstop fire hose down your gullet glut of product for the next 4.5, 5 months.
I don't hate that. I'm not a big wax guy, but I've found myself getting sucked into some breaks here and there. It's been a minute.
I haven't been jumping into breaks much. Here and there occasionally when it's just a friend that I'm trying to support and the price is right. But I will say this. The set that has come out recently that I really enjoyed, and I actually ripped a hobby box and a couple of megas of, the Topps composite football.
It's not composite?
It's maybe composite. I don't know. You can pronounce the word either way.
I've heard both, and now it bothers me.
Yeah, I think you can pronounce it either way.
When have you heard someone use composite?
Composite.
Give me that in a sentence. How many times have you heard that said like that?
How many times over the course of nearly 50 years on Earth?
Like phonetically, have you heard that before? Yes. You're the first person I've ever heard say
really?
that, actually, yeah.
Oh, no.
I was trying to make fun of you, but nicely, and then I realized, no, I'd just rather make fun of you because it's not pronounced that way.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Maybe. I also could be wrong. Look
Like
at us growing as people.
I stand corrected.
Now you're making fun of me.
So
okay, there it is. There it is.
But yeah, we'll talk through that a little bit. We're going to talk through that product. I too have gone down the rabbit hole of that. You and I, when we were looking through that checklist. We used to look through set lists. We looked through that checklist and saw some of the vet autos. And it's just a fun product. Like that's a break I've enjoyed watching too.
Yeah.
If I'm not even in it, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But a lot of that to talk through.
It's kind of like what Panini Chronicles could be if Panini gave a shit.
Yeah. No, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could, and yeah, they could select some better options in their products, but
yeah,
you got to have cards for the pores, or the soon-to-be pores.
If you're in this hobby and you're ripping a lot of wax, you're definitely on the soon-to-be pores list.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way,
for
this beautiful merino display.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Those of you that may or may not know, Gary is an artist and has been doing
prefer artiste.
Now, I have heard artiste. I have heard that one. And he makes these awesome displays for your cards. And he made a merino one for me. I wanted one where I could do patches that spell out merino. So I might start with Spellbound and then work my way to those upper deck.
Letterman patches.
Oh, man, those are cool. But anyway, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. And what have we been up to last few weeks? Last week we were not in. I wanted us to be. I was just back into town. My grandfather passed away, and he lived in Puerto Rico. Grew up going there in the summers, and all the family was down there celebrating his life and walking through that. It was a tough week, and I just didn't have anything left in the tank.
Yeah.
when I got back.
When you got back, I texted you. I said, are you going to feel up to recording this week? And you were like, I hadn't thought about it, but
absolutely
no.
I have no bandwidth left for that.
No worries. But we're back this week, so
yeah. Back this week, let's kind of catch people up with what we've been up to card-wise. I have been grinding out the eBay store. At this point, it's become a pretty viable option. I got a little bit over 15,000 cards in the store now. The first 10,000.
Go shop.
Yeah, I need to, but
no, not you. You people listening.
Yeah,
go to the ball card store and shop.
Yep. This morning I was checking orders, and one of our listeners did do a bulk order. So
that's awesome. Whoever you were, thank you.
That was awesome. And right now, we haven't really done this, but we really should. And nobody else is going to pay us for ads. We should advertise ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now in the ball card store, buy 10 or more cards, save 40%.
That's strong.
And it actually goes up to cards worth $65. So there's a way to rip me off if you really, really want to.
If you want to get deep on it. And the biggest thing with Jason's store, guys, unlike most of eBay, if you're buying something that's, tell me if I'm wrong here, but if it's under $20, it's free shipping.
Yep.
So
Under
you're
20
not
free.
getting ate up with shipping costs either. So make him pay.
Make me pay. And
It's like going to the Chinese buffet if you're me. I'm going to win that fight.
I like one of those storefront owners when you're like in a touristy spot where they always make you feel like you're robbing them no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know if I could. Okay, I guess 40%. So, yeah, be sure to check that out. A lot of new stuff. I've recently dropped in probably 1,000 mid-70s baseball cards. There's 200 or 300 75 minis that are excellent, probably closer to near mint. Very crisp and clean. I have probably 500 to 1,000 Bowman Chrome U first just thrown up. So on the low end, a bunch of stuff there, and then in that like $10 to $25 range, there's been a lot of additions as well. You have been setting up. So if you haven't been listening over the last few months, you made a shift to have like higher quality collector pieces in the showcase.
And not necessarily the most expensive stuff,
Right.
but more unique stuff. Stuff that I like being the guy when you come to a show and you walk around the show, you come back to me like 3 times because you're like, I don't see this stuff anywhere else in the room. I'm not the highest in stuff. You're going to go to every show you go to, you're going to find 2 or 3 guys that have 20 downtowns in their cases or whatever else. That's not me. When you come to my table, you're going to see, oh, that patch is nasty. Oh, it's numbered to 3. Oh, it's a superstar. Oh, it's only $400. Yeah. Like, you're going to find that kind of stuff in my showcases. I still have my value box. I still have, a couple of small showcases that have some of the more modern liquid type stuff that, repackers come through or guys, stuff that I can sell at 80%, and somebody else can make a little bit of money on. You got to have a little bit of all that kind of stuff, but the stuff that's in my showcases is stuff that, you're not going to see around the show anywhere else. That's my goal. If you do, it's got to be a big show, and there might be one other person that has.
So
what's
what's been like the biggest positive on making that shift, and what has been the most stressful part of shifting that focus?
They're the same. The biggest positive is that from a sales standpoint, I'm not selling that stuff to people trying to flip it. If I am selling that stuff to people trying to flip it, it's to repackers that are paying 90% plus. Most of the stuff I'm selling like that is going to collectors, or I'm trading to collectors. Like I had a deal last weekend, that Joey Votto Diamond Icons Nike swoosh, just a beautiful card that I've had for a while. And I was kind of sad to see it go because while it had been sitting in my showcase for a few months, that card has probably sold $10,000 worth of cards for me because it just draws attention to my showcase, and then people look at everything else around it. I had that and a Randy Moss rookie auto, not an IP auto. There's tons of those out there, but there are not a lot of the top certified rookie autos. I had a Randy Moss rookie auto, a PSA 8, and I traded those 2 cards for a Josh Allen 2020 flawless Josh Allen patch auto, 2-color patch numbered to 6 in a BGS 9.5. So that kind of stuff. So the positives have been that the negotiating and getting beat up on prices on stuff, it kind of goes away when you can legitimately look at somebody and kind of jokingly but seriously say, I guess find another one. When somebody's like, oh, well, that card that's numbered to 3, it just sold for $450 and you've got $500 on it. It's like, yep, I have one of the 2 that's left.
Yeah, so, I mean, it requires you to be pretty patient.
Yes,
as a seller.
for sure.
That's a big shift of what I'm hearing. Because I'm imagining, right, the right kind of stuff like that, you're not finding a bunch of comps. You are saying, I think this should be probably about this in this market.
Trying to find something similar and then price it so that it makes sense for everybody.
Well, and you have to buy that right as well. So
yes,
you have to identify this as a collector's. So in some ways, it simplifies what you're buying because you're not just looking at everything now. But it also is a little tougher because it's almost like somebody's going to have to either realize it's a collector's card and be okay with the margin that you need, or there's probably a lot of them that are going to have 1 or 2 goofy comps that makes it accessible for you. and then you're going to be dealing with the buyer saying, well, this
Right.
one went, and you just have to be okay saying,
That's okay.
I see where that is. This is rare. I think I'm pretty good where I'm at.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be all high-end stuff. It's like a piece that I just picked up recently. It might be one of my favorite things I've picked up in the last year and a half or two. It's not a big card. I'm probably going to have a $250 price tag on it. It'll be the first weekend I've had it in the showcase this weekend. And the show's in Cincinnati, so it may move. It's a 2018 Panini Spectra Nebula. It's numbered to 2. It's a pop 1, none higher. The other one might still be in a box somewhere. Who knows? The original CTE connection. It's a dual patch, 3 color patches. It's Antonio Brown and Vontaze Burfict on the same card. And the Burfict is a chunk of the B from Bengals, and it's game used. And the Antonio Brown is just player worn. But it's just a cool card. That's the kind of stuff. Like a Bengals or a Steelers fan, probably more Bengals fan in that situation. Burfict doesn't have a lot of stuff out there. He definitely doesn't have a lot of game use stuff out there. And something that's from an iconic moment in the last 20 years in the NFL where, he literally tried to murder Antonio Brown on a field. And Antonio Brown's brain was literally never the same after that. Like that started the slide into Crazyville for Antonio Brown. It's just a cool card. And it's a card that I was able to get into properly. So, it makes sense. That's the kind of stuff that I want in my showcases. In my value box, you're going to find whatever. Go nuts. You'll find some liquid stuff. You'll find the stuff I can move pretty cheap, that you can buy a $50 card for $38 from me. I don't care. It's fine. That's a card that, if you want it, got a little bit of flexibility, but, it's not going to somebody trying to flip it. It's going to go to somebody who wants to display it.
Have you noticed fewer dealers trying to buy from you than before? Like, are they getting the message?
No, dealers still try to buy. They still want that stuff because it looks good in the showcase, but they're starting to figure out, at least the ones who see me all the time, that I'm not giving it away.
Yeah.
Like, if you want that stuff from me, then bring me something cool to trade me for it then, because I'm not giving it away. It just isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's weird for me to watch the reactions because people are so used to guys being desperate to get cash.
Yep.
That they don't know how to react when you're just like, no, I appreciate the offer, but I'm good.
Yeah, I look back at a few like $500 to $700 deals where they got great margins, but I was like, it's later in the show and want some cash, and I probably still made money, but I probably gave up 20% more.
Yeah.
By not just waiting that out.
Yeah, it's just like I'm good.
Yeah.
If I sell, the question I now ask myself when somebody makes me an offer is, what's it going to cost me to replace this? Not with the exact card, but what's it going to cost me to replace it with something as cool as this to put in my showcase? I got to get more out of this card than that. Like, it's that simple for me because I'm not in this to just churn money and break even.
Yeah. Yep. Any other big pickups?
Big stuff, a few. That Josh Allen. I've picked up a few bigger things that have moved. The Jason Dominguez finally has a comp. Thank God. So I think
you're
it's
on the
move
clock.
Fast. Yes. Now, well, did you see yesterday? He hit 3 balls over 107 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like the Yankees right now. This is side note. Brian Cashman is not putting the 28 best players on his major league roster right now. The fact that Alex Verdugo is still getting at bats, hitting 178 while Jason Dominguez just sits in AAA is mind-numbing to me. It's just on a team that's struggling and sliding right now.
Do you think they're just targeting next year for him?
I think that they are waiting to bring him up so that he doesn't lose rookie eligibility and that he has a shot to win Rookie of the Year and they get an extra first-round pick, which is a bad way to
could
operate.
be good for your card.
It could be, but it's bad for the team if you're trying to actually win a World Series this year.
Yeah.
But you're using Clay Holmes as your closer right now, so the chances of you winning a World Series this year are like, I don't know.
Yeah. The Lamar card, bringing up the challenge card. In person, everybody loses their mind over it. I post this thing online. It's crickets. I have a hunch, one of his first games where he goes off for, he rushes a couple touchdowns and throws a couple that
had a hell of a game last night.
And he looks good. He looks good. He's trimmed down, lost a little weight. He's moving fast. He is not that he was slow, but you lose 20 pounds and you're already fast. That's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, he had a hell of a game. He had almost 400 total yards offense. So
yeah, I'll probably throw it back up. They're going to see me just spamming this card. I want to get a couple moves because I think you're stuck on Dominguez a little bit. I think I've got like a 2-week window.
Let me put it this way:
plays.
If the comp that's out now had been out at the show last Saturday, that card was gone. Because there was a repacker that had it in his stack for 20 minutes, and finally
but you got that weird 9 auto, and people are.
It's not that with him. It wasn't that for him. It was.
Call him up.
There's just not. Oh, he'll be at Eastgate tomorrow.
Call him up.
He'll be at Eastgate tomorrow. So.
Well, I hope you sell it, and I also hope you don't sell it. That's basically how I feel about it. But let's jump in. We got a bunch of product releases to break down. I want to talk about. Fanatics releasing these Topps unlicensed products that people are losing their minds over right now in the hobby. And then we'll talk about a couple other license releases that have dropped. But let's start off with the one that we're seeing all over socials, news, everything else. Topps Chrome Basketball has been released. You and I are both very excited that Topps Chrome Basketball is a thing again.
Yeah, but God, that shit's ugly.
It's we do not like the design. I'll start. I guess we can start with that. The design is still not nice.
No,
it's rough.
Unlike with football, they did not make any effort to choose good photography. It's like a lot of headshots of guys and the inserts. I'll put it this way: if Leaf put this product out, y'all would be making fun of it. You'd be like,
"It's true,"
just like you do with Leaf Vivid, which is an ugly set. If Leaf put this product out, you'd be like, what the hell is this?
Now, I will say this. I have heard a lot of breakers and dealers say they do not like the design. So it's not like people are going nuts over the design. But Fanatics knew this. We have to release something because we have Wemby and it's his rookie year, and he has to sign with us.
Yeah.
And so, we're seeing – I've never seen so many superfractors pulled in the first month. Of a product for one key player. I've never seen that many superfractors pulled. However, I'm going to guess in the world of unlicensed product, there's probably never been this many hobby boxes opened in the first month.
That's a big part of it. What I find really interesting is the amount of super high-end speculation going into this product. Now, I think the Wembys will hold value because it's his only rookie autos.
Well, I think the autos will hold value.
Yes,
I do not think his other rookie stuff is going to...
Well, no, the non-autos I don't think will because they're not licensed, and the Panini stuff will be what holds the value there. Yeah. But the autograph stuff...
you really think it's going to hold what these people are offering on it?
No, I don't think that. Like, the guy that turned down $1 million for the super auto is outside of his mind.
Because how many other... now, are there other one-on-one autos?
There's inserts.
Insert autos, though, right?
Yeah, insert autos, but the actual true super has been pulled. Now, the only... Here's the only thing that makes sense.
How could it be worth more at any point?
Well, here's the only reason.
Now?
The only reason that it makes sense for somebody to turn down $1 million for that card is if whoever hit it is already independently wealthy and just wants to be able to say, I own the one-of-one super auto of a guy who may end up being an all-timer.
Is this the one that was hit and walked into Grand Slam Collectibles?
I don't know.
I think, unless I've got my story, I think it is. And it was a pastor that pulled it.
And he turned down $1 million.
And he was on a mission in Europe.
So unless he is a megachurch pastor that's already independently wealthy.
Yeah, I think it sounded like he was traveling abroad and he wasn't going to decide in the moment what he's doing with this card. But he reached out to Grand Slam. I can't remember if he was traveling and he's back home. Definitely was one of the one-of-ones. I'm pretty sure it was the auto. But Grand Slam was like, yeah, they're not going to charge anything. They're going to help him do whatever he wants to do with it. But, okay, so let's play this game. Wemby is everything people think he's capable of.
Yep.
We're 5 years down the road.
Yep.
He brought a title to the Spurs. He's been a 2-time MVP. That's in the first 5 years. That's a massive.
It's a $2 million card.
You really believe that?
Yeah, unless the economy completely crashes, it's a $2 million card.
I think it's a $500,000 card in 5 years, no matter what this guy does.
I disagree.
Maybe less.
And so here's why I disagree. The hobby historically goes through cycles, up and down cycles, booms and busts. Some of those booms are higher peaks than previous ones like we had during COVID due to outside sources. Some of them are lower peaks, but it's about every 6 to 8 years we have a boom or a bust. Right now, we are in the middle of a downturn in the overall market. That downturn started in mid-2022. It bottomed out in mid last year. We've kind of crept up a little bit since then. I think we will stay where we're at within a few percentage points for the next year or two, and then it'll start to climb back up, and then we will see another exponential jump. I think that exponential jump is likely to happen right at about the time frame you were just saying, 5-6 years from now. If that happens, and Wemby has done all the things that you just said, he's been a 4 or 5 time first team All-NBA center. He's won a scoring title. The Spurs have won a championship. He's, All-Star game MVP, all that stuff. If that all coincides, especially if the championship coincides with that boom in the market, I think it's a big card.
Here's something that you have to factor in. I disagree with you. I couldn't disagree more on your projection of where the market will be in 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
I think we do have a correction going on. It may not be the bottom, but I don't think we see what we saw during COVID for
No. That's
time.
a whole different ballgame, but we will see another boom. It just won't be that big of a boom. That was
Maybe.
one of the biggest booms ever.
Sure. That's where I'm kind of coming from with it. So we don't know what that will be. Here's what I don't think people are considering. In 5 years, this is how people talk about that card. Because in 5 years, we haven't considered what happens to unlicensed product once Top Chrome Basketball is licensed. So outside of the Wemby factor, okay? So let's pull this off to the side. It's a different rookie, blah, blah, blah. The next Zion, Ja. We could go down the list of all the people everybody's been huge on over the last 5 years. People are going to say, yeah, it's not the licensed Topps Chrome, but it is the Wemby. That's going to be the conversation. It's not. Yeah, it's top. It's not the licensed one, but it is his rookie auto. It's the super, right? There's going to be a qualifier with it, and there's going to be at that same time released product.
So you think a second-year card's going to be worth more than the rookie?
I don't think that. I think that this whole set loses value the moment that the licensed version of this product comes out.
I agree that every card except for the Wemby autos will do that.
Yeah.
If you want a Wemby rookie auto, this is your only option.
I cannot fathom. Who else has a one-of-one auto that's fetching $1 million?
Oh, well, just in general?
Yeah.
LeBron, Kobe, at one point Zion. Zion had one that did 1.6, and I think Wemby's.
Do you think anybody learns from that Zion?
Yeah, I do. But I don't think the lesson's the same as what you think it is.
Okay, Zion is not Wembanyama. Where do you think that $1.6 million card is now value-wise?
$350.
$350K still?
Yeah.
It's too much.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm
too
just
much.
telling you that that's what it is.
But I'm just going to, you and I have a difference of opinion here, but I do not think that card can sustain anywhere close to that value 5 years from now.
The Zion?
No, the Wemby.
Okay.
I don't see a world where it's worth more. I think there's a lot of excitement around it. This has become the thing that,
I think
here's an example. Card Collector 2 pulled one of his autos last week.
Refractor.
And this is the biggest card I've ever pulled in my life.
This year, he said. It was this year in the shop. That's the biggest card we pulled this year. And at the time, it probably is, because right now it's probably a $10,000 card.
That is not I understand it's
agree,
worth what
but
people
that's what
pay
the market
for it.
is right now.
So that card in 5 years could be a $20,000 card?
It could be.
You really think that's possible?
If Wemby is...
Yeah, no, he's all that in a bag of chips. In 5 years, that card doubles?
It could be.
Get out of here.
Here's the
While
thing.
you have
Can
other
I
licensed
tell you-
non-auto products.
Can I tell you why?
Sure.
Here's-
I'm waiting to
here's-
hear something different. And
Yes.
I haven't yet.
Here's the reason why. And this is where I think as in general collectors who don't like 95% of people who collect in this hobby, and that might be a low number, the most valuable card that they own is maybe worth $1,000. And 95% might be a low number. It might be closer to 97 or 98% that the most valuable card that they own is worth $1,000 or less.
Sure.
What happens in the big boy world of sports cards is so far removed from what 96 to 98% of us do that it's almost like it's two completely different worlds. When I tell you that, like, random Bowman superfractors of guys who made one all-star team still sell for $10,000.
Sure.
That's the reality. So those types of cards we're talking about, they're playing in a different universe than the rest of us.
I agree with what you're saying.
So when you're playing in a universe where there's maybe 300 or 400 people who are all competing for the same one or two cards,
True.
That's why those golden auctions, you just blink your eyes and go, what the?
Yeah.
Like, that's where those values come from. Do I think that card is actually worth $2 million? No. I would, even if I had $100 million in the bank, I would never pay $2 million for that card. But I think somebody will.
So, what do you think? All right. Right now, what would you, if you hadn't heard any offers, nothing like that Wemby Super is pulled, what is the amount that you think it should fetch?
$300K.
I think
it
2 to
should-
400.
I think it should be worth considerably less than the triple auto of Steph, LeBron, and KD.
Yeah. And maybe that's my filter. And that's probably why I'm thinking.
But it's that whole
In 5 years, even with all this other stuff he might do,
It's
I
that
can't
whole
imagine it
it's
being
that
worth
whole
more than 500 grand.
should in one hand, shit in the other, see which one gets full faster. Like at the
I
end
don't
of the
like that
day-
game.
Well, that's
I
my
don't
point.
like that game.
That's my point. The thing is we can talk about what things should. I see this all the time in Facebook groups. People are like, "Oh, you guys are spending money on all these unproven guys, and this Hall of Fame guy is only." Listen,
No.
the reality of the market is the reality of the market.
I agree. Here's my issue. My issue is because of this Wemby stuff.
Yeah.
People are trying to push this product as a game changer.
Of course,
And it is not a good, like, the product itself is not good outside of the Wemby auto.
Agreed.
Now,
1,000,000%.
I haven't seen the LeBron autos pulled.
But who are the people that are pushing that?
The people trying to sell a lot of
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but here's so one of the listeners that I talked to quite a bit is likes to open wax, likes to do breaks. They bought in, I don't know if it was a full case, but several boxes at sub 500, and now they're already regretting that they didn't hold those sealed for, because they're already at 700, blah, blah. I said, at the end of the day, it's still an unlicensed basketball product with a bad design and a great rookie. I couldn't give you 3 other names that you're trying to hit out of that product.
No, and that's that. Well, I mean, you're looking for Brandon,
other than vets.
Brandon Miller.
Okay.
Is the second best rookie. But the reality of it is that product sealed, especially if this Wemby hadn't already been hit.
Well, and that's just it.
Right. So,
Yeah.
But even then, with Wemby rookie autos in the product sealed is going to hold value long term if Wemby turns into what he is. 2018 Prism basketball outside of Luka is not a good set.
Luka's overpriced right now.
I don't disagree, but you know what card's never been pulled?
Super.
The Black Finite 1 of 1 Luka. It's never been pulled. So that product will continue to hold high value sealed until that card comes out. Steph Curry's Super has never been pulled from 2010 Topps.
Oh, yeah,
Chrome.
they don't have Super in Prism. It's Black Finite.
Yeah, it's
right?
Black Finite, correct. The golds are gold vinyl. They're to 5. So sealed product that has big name rookies in it will always be a good investment.
Yep.
If you have the discipline to keep it sealed.
Yep.
A lot of people don't, which is why it's a good investment.
Okay, so that's Topps Chrome. I'm not going to be buying any boxes of it.
No, me either. I don't do modern basketball.
When it's licensed, I'll probably definitely want, because for me, when I look at the value, it's what am I getting back? Having the eBay store, I literally can put anything I open, everything worth a penny, everything worth $2 or more is already on eBay within a half hour.
Well, that's the thing for you. It kind of
when
helps
it's
you.
licensed, all those numbered parallels are worth something. I can't. I mean, I'm sure they're selling a little bit right now with the excitement, but if you are chasing non-Wemby and non-LeBron, that's not a winning game for you.
Let's talk about the other side of that coin with the other product that Topps just dropped.
Yeah.
Topps Composite Football. Did I say it
You
right
said
that
it
time?
right that time.
There
It was
you
good,
go.
Yeah.
Topps Composite Football. Exact opposite. The cards look fantastic. The design is great. It's literally what Panini Chronicles could be if Panini cared at all. Lots of shiny stuff. The designs are great. They did a really good job with action shots, especially of the rookies. They took the pictures at angles where you probably wouldn't see the logos anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these cards are doing insane dollars. The Strouds are pulling mass. Now, again, it's kind of the same thing. There's no licensed Stroud autos. So that's a factor. But you've got, so here's a great one I saw.
But okay, so has there been a one-of-one sale on a Stroud yet?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
But here's a really good example of what's happening with this composite product. And I do think the prices are going to come down over the next couple of weeks. But I saw in a high-end room that we're both in on Facebook, somebody put up the Troy Aikman. There's one of the sets in there is Ignite. And somebody put up a Troy Aikman patch auto to 5.
Mm-hmm.
The patches were nice. But again, they're not game used. They're just player worn. Patches were nice. It's a sticker auto. Aikman's licensed of 25 stuff does $80-$85. In my opinion, the unlicensed of 5 is probably worth 20% more than that. So it's a $110, $115 card.
Okay.
I thought it was really cool and would look good in the showcase, and I looked at it as a marketing piece.
Mm-hmm.
I offered $130 for it, and the guy laughed at me.
Yeah.
He wants $300 for it. There's not a world where that's a $300 card.
Yeah.
It just isn't. That's nasty.
All right, so along the lines of this conversation, what I've done is I've pulled up I don't see any sold one-of-ones out of composite, but I found a RPA CJ Stroud one-of-one filthy patch. Patch could be a little bigger.
The auto's really clean.
Auto's very clean on it. It's a sticker auto.
They're all other than the Topps Chrome Black. They're all sticker autos.
So this is where there's such a chasm between, and again, a super is not the same as any one-of-one, right? There's a multiplier here. But right now, that C.J. Stroud card is listed at $12,499. Now, C.J. Stroud.
Can I tell you that's cheap?
Okay, cool. Double it, triple it, quadruple it.
Well, let's put it this way:
5X it.
His gold prisms, raw, do $30,000.
Okay, so here's my. You're proving my point of why this Wemby is in Cuckooville.
Well, I
on the NFL front. What more could you want? I mean, I guess if you want a Super Bowl, right?
Well, right now, Stroud's prices have 3 Super Bowls baked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Wemby's have his rings baked in? You can't say no to this question.
No.
There's only one answer.
No, I'm not saying that. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
The reason nobody's fussing over this is because it's like, yeah, CJ Stroud, but it's an unlicensed product, right?
I think that the market is viewing this unlicensed product much differently than every other unlicensed product.
That's my point. Well,
because
this one because there's
Fanatics,
only 4.
Well, and because they know
autos.
Fanatics actually already has the licenses, they just haven't kicked in yet, and everybody really wants the cool top stuff to
but
come
that's
out.
the same. That's that same scenario for Topps Chrome basketball.
No, I agree, but that's part of what's happening is people are viewing these unlicensed products much differently than they do Leaf, much differently than they do Sage,
But
much
the
differently.
CJ, so there's much differently, but there's not a product with CJ in this that's going to fetch anywhere close to 1/3 of the value of that Wemby.
Correct. But
So
the basketball market's also very, very the high-end basketball market.
4X?
Yeah, the high-end basketball
Jeez.
market covers the whole world. The high-end football market
that
doesn't.
is a good point. There
Right?
are a lot more international buyers on that. But I'm just saying I can't justify that gap between, it's not the same car, but I'm looking at a nice 1-of-1 RPA of somebody who's established and considered very talented as a rookie.
But it's also really important to note that an RPA will always do less than the true Super Auto.
But when we're talking the difference between $12,500 and $1 million being rejected,
Yep.
like that's where I'm like, everybody chill out with Topps Chrome basketball, please.
I don't
Please
disagree with you,
chill.
but that's just where
Like,
it is.
if you ever listen to us and take advice from us, boy, we're not telling you if you go spend $10K in Victor Wembanyama stuff out of this product that it's $20,000 in 5 years. We're saying that one card that is the card has the chance of doing that, and even that I'm not so sure about. So if you're going in heavy on this stuff, what's your end game here? Are you just want to pull a Wemby auto? Go for it. Go nuts. You're gonna spend. I've seen a lot of boxes open with no Wembys.
Yeah.
But if your goal is somehow I'm gonna open this stuff and make money, this could be a brutal one. This could be a brutal one.
Yeah.
For you. So the price keeps going up. Composite, on the other hand, I really like the product. I agree with you. The vet stuff is great. I got in a break yesterday that had like basically the Breaker's Delight version of it. I don't know if they called it that too, but it was like a hybrid format, 1 pack, 3 autos. The correlation is not awesome. Like there were a couple.
My box was an AR to 50 RPA. And then like a Brad Johnson auto and a Barry Foster auto.
I saw more Bob Lilly autos yesterday watching that than I've seen in a long time.
Hall of Famer at least.
Yeah. On product like that, I don't want to see the same auto in one break and then go right into the next, and it's the same, like even like a to 150, some of the names. So yeah, Hall of Fame auto. Vet list is awesome. I've seen some really cool stuff. I saw yesterday one I was in had a Levis to 5 get hit, the red Topps Chrome, really pretty, and then also a Warren Moon orange to 25.
Yeah.
Which like with the Oilers and that being the alternate color, like so whoever had Tennessee killed it on that one. I got shut out with the Ravens and the Rams. I was hoping to maybe hit some cool Ray Lewis number stuff. That cost me a few bucks. So, but the product is nice. It's already getting too expensive. By the way, Topps Chrome Basketball is over $700 a box. Who knows what it is this week? That was last week. Composite is now over $500 a box.
Yeah.
Direct from Topps. We're creeping into not worth it price points here.
Getting there. Yeah. But I will say this: if you can find it in the wild, the megas. I've opened 2 megas. There was an auto in both of them.
My hunch is most football collectors, this is most, are modern, ultra modern guys.
Yeah.
And this is a product that in a few months, after a couple other releases come, I think some of these vet autos are going to be, there's going to be some steals out there.
I agree.
And the nice thing is this is a product that can bounce back with the Hall of Fame autos. Like, I think it takes a dip, and then you're like, oh, that's still a Hall of Fame auto to 25.
Right.
Like, I think it gets a little bounce back. So I'm big on the rebuy on that. Topps Chrome Basketball, I just don't like it. Other releases, Select Football came out. I've never been a huge Select person, but it is licensed.
I just get a chuckle out of. We're talking about this, and he's like, "Yeah, and they're just so hard to list." One of Jason's new criteria is for whether he likes a set is how easy it is to list on eBay.
Absolutely. I want to. Hey, this is the orange die cut, but not the numbered variation. This is the 3 color. You can't fit that in 80 characters in the listing. Get out of here. But Select Football has released, seen that breaking, and then Pristine Baseball drops today. Is that right? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
So Pristine, I actually like for the Hall of Fame and vet stuff. Hot rookies, You can move them. It's not like the most desirable product, but they're pretty cards.
It's a $600 box right now, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. They're pretty cards, but they do not have. Just buy the singles.
Well, the parallels don't stand out that much from each other.
No, and they don't hold value.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah. But they are very pretty.
Yes.
They're really pretty
so
cards.
if you want them for your collection, wait and buy singles. They'll be cheap.
Yeah. That's kind of like pricey, pretty cards. Licensed would be like Spectra football. I would kind of put in that same category.
Yeah.
For me, it's not like a purist, like a low numbered Topps Chrome out of like, I don't know, 2005, 2010, but it's cool stuff. All right, you ready to jump into our main activity today?
Let's do it.
So this is a quick reminder of what we did. We've done this in the past, but basically we set a fictitious budget of $1,000. You have to buy the rookie PSA 10 Prism Silver. We've moved to silver because the market's in a more reasonable place again. With $1,000, you have to actually think about your picks, but these are all PSA 10 silver rookies.
And if you happen to go before Prism was a thing with somebody that's been around for a while, it needed to be like their Topps Chrome refractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positions that we're doing would be 1 QB, 1 RB, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and then a defensive player.
Yep.
All right, let's start it off. Quarterback, you want to go first?
Sure. I went with Will Levis. His PSA 10 Prism Silvers, not the variation, just the regular one. I've been doing right around $225. There's been sales as high as $250 and as low as $190, but on average about $225. The reason I went with Levis is very, very simple. For me, it was a toss-up between Will Levis and Jared Goff. I think Will Levis has more room for growth because people will be more willing to speculate on a second-year guy than a 10th-year guy or a ninth-year guy, whatever Goff is going into. I think it's ninth year. I also think Will Levis has a chance to be really good, and I think the team's going to be better than people think it is. And he's the only rookie quarterback from the class last year that I have faith can go up. Bryce Young's prices are already too high. C.J. Stroud's prices we've already talked about. C.J. Stroud's great, but there's nowhere for the numbers. There's nowhere for the prices to go. So Levis was my guy there, and I think that a conceivable 30 to 40% return is very, very, very conceivable. I think that could be a $340 to $350 card relatively quickly.
I happen to think, this is a little bit of a dramatic way of saying it, I think it's a little bit of a make or break year for him just because people saw these glimmers of hope. There have been some changes there in the roster. People are looking to see if he has the stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But you could see a big hike on that. And that fan base, collector-wise,
they love it.
Yeah. They're pretty diehard,
Yep.
and they're all over the country.
How much Eddie George stuff do you sell?
Yeah. Well, and it's nice because I think the reason is Nashville's actually become a town that everybody moves to, which is hilarious because it wasn't like that when we were growing up. And then people kind of go back home and stuff. So there's Titans fans all over. I think it's a solid pick. You said 225 on that?
225.
And that's last year's, right?
2023 Prism. Yep.
My pick was Kyler Murray, actually.
I thought about him, but I thought he was already high.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. He's at 300, but I'm looking at this is where he is at the beginning of the season. If they figure some stuff out, I mean, he's got receivers, he's got weapons. The pushback on him was like he's not really focused, but it sounds like he's trying to ditch that narrative and show that he can be. So that was my it was a tie for my most expensive card, but I went with the 2019 Silver Prism Kyler at 300.
Okay.
Running back, I'll go. 2018 running back. This is a little bit of a reach on the price, but I think for this year it could be a big hit. I'm going with Saquon.
That was my guy last year.
Yeah, it was your guy.
But he was so
year.
cheap last year.
He was cheap last year. So people were excited about him. He's at 300 again.
Yeah, he was at like 90 when I picked him last year.
What motivation did he have to be healthy last couple of years? I'll wait.
Oh, I'm not arguing your point.
So
I don't think it's a bad pick. I just think it's expensive.
Now we're in Philly. We're a program that's somehow added even more weapons. It might be the most loaded team offensively.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts doesn't have any excuses anymore.
Yeah, it might be the most loaded. I think the way they're able to move the ball down the field, the way Saquon runs, Again, now, do I think this is going to be a $600 card? No, but I think it could be $400 or $500 by the end of the season, especially if they make a deep run. Who'd you have at running back?
I had Jonathan Taylor. 2020 silver prisms are averaging about $120 right now.
That's a good price, actually.
That card peaked at around 300 the year he had 1,800 yards rushing. He's healthy again. At the end of last year, he was finally healthy and has started to look good. I think that the combination between him and Anthony Richardson's running ability in the backfield is going to open things up a lot for him. So if he stays healthy, I could very easily see that being a $200 card before too terribly long.
I think it could double. Okay, wide receivers. My first pick at $175 out of 2013. Not the easiest set to find.
Nope.
Devontae Adams. Here's why. I think that he is going to give.
You're giving Gardner Minshew some love.
I'm giving Minshew a little bit of love. I think there's been a lot of attention on them, and he wants the ball. It's basically like, if you want me, you better show it this year.
Yeah.
Some people think that he has the wrong attitude. I can't imagine how
Did
frustrated
you watch
it's been for him.
Did you see his interview with Shannon Sharp?
Not Shannon Sharp. I watched the documentary. What was it? Was it Hard Knocks in season or something like that?
Yeah, but he did a 2-hour sit down. If you guys
maybe that
plug for another podcast that doesn't need a plug from us, but if you don't listen to Club Shay Shay, it's awesome. It's a great podcast. I don't think Devontae Adams has a bad attitude at all. I think Devontae Adams is just very direct and, hey, I'm one of the best. Get me the ball. It's going to help our team.
I want to work.
Yes, I want to make us better, and we're going to be better if you get me the ball.
You bring up a good point. How many of us are super critical of athletes when they do this? Yet we have all done this with all of our coworkers and anybody that would listen at work every day. Like, I can do this. Give me a chance.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not setting me up for success.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work here, especially sales guys, man.
Yeah.
We're real quick to point some fingers on that. But at 175, it's 2013. It's a cool card. That card in that set is really pretty. I think this could hit 250, maybe 300. I don't expect the Raiders to.
You're looking at doubling up.
Almost.
Oh.
I think it could if they make a good run on it. I don't know how deep they can, but that team is also another one that has a lot of weapons. The question is, do they have much of a program right now? And I'm not positive on that. Who'd you have for your first running back?
My first wide receiver, you mean?
Yes.
Mike Evans. I will beat this drum over and over and over and over again. The most underrated, surefire, first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver that has played football in the last 25 years. This dude is a machine. He is a machine. He is the only player in the history of the NFL. Not Jerry Rice, not Calvin Johnson, not Terrell Owens, not any of these guys. 10 straight years to start his career with more than 1,000 yards receiving. Nobody's ever done it, and he's going to do it again. And he'll do it again next year, too, because he's not a speed guy. He's just a physical freak. 2014 Prism, silver, PSA 10, $140. That card should be a $300 card. It's not, but it should be. It should be worth way more than some of the more recent guys like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and it's worth about the same, which is insane to me. Much lower print run, and if he comes out and does it again, and I think the Bucs probably win that division, I could see that card jumping 25, 30, 35% pretty easily.
I don't think it'll jump easily, and here's my reasoning for it.
Okay.
It hasn't yet. He's already done all the things.
It has. It has. Last year, you could buy this card for about $100. So it's up about 40%.
So you think there's another? Okay. I don't think it's there. For whatever reason, you're absolutely right. It doesn't make sense, but the hobby has not responded to him accordingly. So we'll see what happens there. Mine is my next wide receiver is a dark horse, just because there's some pending things that could really affect that. But I did go with Rashee Rice. I think he's going to get a lot of attention this year. I think there are going to be people that are in heavily on him already that are trying to make sure they recoup, and they're going to be pumping the crap out of him in the hobby. The question will be...
He had a good opening game last night.
Yes, he did. The question will be, does something happen between now and whenever we call it where he's unable to play.
And also, just so everybody's aware, we made these picks before kickoff last night.
Yep.
At least I know I did.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Who's your second wide receiver?
second wide receiver. This one was an easy one for me.
$60 gets you a silver right now.
Yeah.
Over she.
Yeah. Which is interesting because the guy that I'm getting ready to say next is only a little bit more expensive than that, and it makes no sense to me. Cooper Kupp. Absolute no-brainer. This card 2 years ago was $300. It's $90 now. PSA 10, 2017, silver. Kupp's been hurt a little bit, but everything that I've seen, heard, felt, you guys go ahead, buy all the puka you want to. Have fun. Kupp's the number one there. It's not even close. Matt Stafford loves him. He's healthy. Cooper Kupp's going to go off again this year.
That's a double, at least.
It was the easiest pick of all these for me. When I saw that I could buy his stuff for less than $100 right now, I was like, "Yep, I'm in."
Yeah,
I'm in.
Okay, tight end. This one's not like a crazy one, but at $70, I'm going with Sam Laporta. Consistent target, good offense, coach that loves tight ends. I just think he's gonna have some upside there. Is he the biggest star? No, but if you watch how the hobby
he's
has
the second best tight end in the league. His stuff's already really high right now.
The
That's why
hobby
I avoided him.
But they're big on him. But for whatever reason, the silver at 70 feels like a steal because of that.
Well, yes and no. Here's why I didn't go with him. The silver of his is not a very rare card. Like Prism last year was printed hard.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's not a quarterback. Like that was I love Laporta. I think he's the second or third best tight end in the league, in my opinion.
Second or third best tight end in the league, and he's at $70 on the silver.
Yeah.
I just couldn't avoid the upside there.
Yeah. I don't hate your pick.
Who'd you go with?
Who did I go with?
Mark Andrews?
I went with Isaiah Likely.
I figured you go with like Mark Andrews. Been in the league a long time, consistent producer.
Yeah, you're just trying to bust my chops. I went with Likely, and last night he showed why. I thought he was a great buy in the middle of the season last year once Mark Andrews got hurt because he's such an athletic freak. And then Mark Andrews got hurt, and he got some really good playing time and looked really good down the stretch last year. So coming into this year, I knew the Ravens were going to go to a lot more two tight end sets. Mark Andrews kind of looked washed last night. Like there was a play where he caught a crossing pattern that should have been an easy first down. He didn't even slip. His legs just like gave out and he fell down. It was just like, what? And then Likely had 9 catches for $112 and almost caught the game-winning touchdown, 1 inch of a toe on the line at the end of the game, and they're going to go for 2 and try to win that game right there. To give you an idea of what you can buy his stuff for right now, for my budget standpoint, just so it didn't look like I was bargain shopping, I factored in the auto for my budget, but I'll give you prices for both. But this was before the game last night. It's probably spiked a little bit. His auto PSA 10 from 2022 Prism you could get for $100. His non-auto is about $40. I'm going to guess that if we look right now after the game last night, that the non-auto is probably already up to $55 or $60.
The silver?
Yeah, the silver 2022
Well,
Prism.
we're not doing autos, so that's
no,
irrelevant
I know. That's
information.
perfectly fine. But I would guess that that he's already spiked from last night.
Let's see.
So
if any have popped off, probably a lot of people pulled those listings down.
Yeah. Prism. He's looking.
Somebody snagged up a raw
for less than $2.
Less than $2.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it right here yet, but there's a lot of different parallels. We'll give you an update next week on where those popped off.
And there's not a ton of them out there because he's been in a lot of common boxes. So
yep.
Like that's just I think that's
a good pick.
That was my guy before the game last night.
I like that one. Defensive player, mine's one where the comps are all over. I tried to split the middle on that, and ironically enough, the number I wrote down gets me right at 1,000.
Okay.
So I just went with Micah Parsons on that.
I don't.
It's a good defense.
He's
it's
so
a
good.
team that everybody collects.
I just think his stuff's already high for what
it is. A little steep. At 95 average is where I had it. There were some went around 70. Some went clipped to 130, 140.
Yep.
And I needed it to be under 100, so I put 95.
So I picked it.
But
Picked my number.
now this is one that I think you're looking at like maybe a 15-20% bump, but I don't know what Dallas is going to look like this year. I really don't. You can't speculate with that team because it really seems to have nothing to do with how much talent they have, how they drafted, what veterans are there.
Well,
it's just,
I almost went with Dak because Dak's playing for $60 million a year this year.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
I went with T.J. Watt again.
I almost did that. Yeah.
Back to your other. T.J. Watt's a Hall of Famer. He could retire tomorrow. He's a Hall of Famer. He is the heart and soul of that defense. Another team with a huge collector base, and they like their defensive players.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's from 2017 Prism, which all the rookies in that set were silvers. They were short printed. PSA 10s right around $150. Can't beat it with a stick. So that got my full budget to $825.
So I ended up around that price point last time, and I definitely lost because you almost doubled everybody last year. It was insane. The only reason I did not go with TJ Watt this year, what you want to guess?
No.
I just think it's going to be a rough year in Pittsburgh overall.
I
that
don't
doesn't
disagree,
mean
but
that
I still
he
think
won't
he's going to have
perform.
18 to 20 sacks and probably 2 or 3 picks and make highlight play after highlight play after highlight play because he's a freak.
Yeah. I think it's probably similar to the same reasons with the Mike Evans. I'm just kind of like,
I almost went with Justin Fields for my quarterback because Russ Wilson's hurt again. His calf's hurt. Fields may start week 1
my
now.
gosh. Did you see his new cringy video he made the other
Russ
day?
Wilson?
Yeah.
No, but everything
he was
about
giving
Russ
himself
is
a
cringy.
nickname and kept saying it over and over. And I was like, you can tell. Like, there's nobody else there, and you could just feel people cringing. The squirrels were cringing in
you're
the bushes.
talking about the Mr.
Mr.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago. That was when he went to Denver. It's just been recirculating.
It needs to die.
Yeah, no, he's
It
a
needs
cringy.
to go
he's
away.
a cringy dude.
Yeah. But okay, so let's figure out how we're gonna. So, what is a reasonable point in the season? Like, my thought was, you don't want to run clear to the end of the season because you'll have a tail off. But like, what, week 14, 15, somewhere in there?
I think week 14 is the number because anybody who's still in playoff contention, that's when things are going to really be starting to heat up as people start to kind of invest in those guys going into the playoffs. And I don't think either one of us picked anybody that we don't think has a chance to get to the playoffs. The closest thing for me is TJ Watt because I don't think in that division Pittsburgh's sniffing the playoffs.
Say that again because I wasn't listening.
I said the only person that on my whole list that I don't think has a realistic shot of being in the playoffs is TJ Watt. I don't think in that division Pittsburgh sniffs the playoffs. I think it's a 2-man race between Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Let's look at what I got here.
And the Browns, if the Browns bench Deshaun Watson early, they have a chance. If they insist on playing Deshaun Watson, they're going to win 8 games.
I don't think the Raiders get there.
I think they're the second best team in that division.
That's with you having baked in faith on Minshew.
I love Minshew.
Yeah, I know. We know.
Bud.
We know, Bud.
When's he been bad when he's had a chance?
Let's talk about it again.
'Kay.
Hey, 57 minutes in here.
Look at us
Pretty
giving you
solid
guys
episode.
solid content for an hour.
All right. This has been the Ball Car Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.